Hey, Chris Lipe here with the isolated vocal tracks for Chester Bennington, Linkin Park, the song Numb. Chester is another one of my favorite singers and one of my most prominent inspirations and influences. I love his voice. I love the dynamics, the raw emotion that comes through, and the production that surrounded his voice is incredible. And I'm excited to get into some of that as well as his singing approach with these isolated tracks. Before we get into this, please like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment and turn those notifications on. By you subscribing to this channel and lots of you watching are unsubscribed, you help to push my videos to a wider audience so that more people can discover what's going on, and ultimately it helps more people learn more about their own voices. Also, if you want to go way deeper with your own voice and you'd like my personal attention and help, click the link below and request an invitation to my course, Discover Your Voice. There's lots to pour through there. There's lots of interaction. It's an amazing journey.
I'm tired of being what you want me to be, feeling so faithless, lost under the surface.
And one of the things that sets Chester apart from a lot of other singers is his ability to be so dynamically diverse around the same pitches. Some of his songs, certainly, he's covering a wide range of pitches as well, but a song like this, it isn't incredibly rangy from a note standpoint, but from a dynamic standpoint, it's just incredible. You can hear right here at the end of this phrase,
Want me to be, feeling so faithless, lost under the surface.
Right there on surface. Listen between lost
under the
lost under the surface. I'm exaggerating that, but he almost he'll go from this compressed light chest voice to almost getting into his head voice. You can't really even tell by the time surface is there.
surface.
Like that's head. That's head voice to me. Or for me, and it sounds like it is for him as well, as he lightens up enough and allows his voice to drop into that head voice positioning. Because he's moderating his airflow so well, he can do that, and it's seamless. That coupled with his really bright approach, he gets his face out of the way. This is not...
Tired of being what you want me to be.
I'm tired of being what you want me to be. There's a lot of smile. There's a lot of teeth. And you can see this when you watch him sing. His face is out of the way.
Tired of being what you want.
Tired of being what you want me to be. Tired of being what you want me to be. And it sounds a bit silly when I exaggerate it, but that's okay. It's not about sounding like Chester. It's about putting some of the things that he does in your voice, seeing what happens, and then playing with the balances. Also play with this dynamic balance here.
Lost under the...
Lost. See, you know he speaks that? Lost under the surface. Under the surface. Under the surface. As you dial in those contrasts, you create real interest. That's what makes his voice so compelling, even when he's singing quietly. And then, of course, as he goes and does this even more, that's where we get that amazing grit, which we'll cover in a little bit.
Don't know what you're expecting of me, put under the pressure of walking in your shoes.
Caught in the undertow, just caught in the under. Yeah, I like those doubles there, the background spoken words, but listen to shoes.
In your shoes.
In your shoes. In your shoes. That's very through the nose.
Walking in your shoes.
It's warm because of it. Walking in your shoes. Walking in your shoes. Keep that in mind. Don't shy away from nasality. none of these amazing rock singers do.
Every step that I take is another mistake to you.
Opens that one up. So we have that nice contrast. Again, another dynamics thing. Shoes versus
To you.
to you. It's not to you, which is how he approached that last vowel. Here he's opened that up. He's lengthened it, and it creates a really neat dynamic, and it's cool, the difference.
Every step that I take is another mistake to.
Also notice how straight rhythmically he is. It sounds almost choir boy-like the way he gets into this. And I love that about his singing as well. He can be almost choir boy and then really get into it.
Every step that I take.
Every step that I take, every step that I take
Is another mistake
is another mistake. Then
to you.
caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow. It's that wonderful vibrato. To you. Then he switches it on.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this.
Now, a section like this, you don't hear this so much in the full produced version, but these are recorded in a call and answer way. Listen carefully.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more.
You can hear subtle overlap going on. And so what likely happened was
I've become so numb.
that one was recorded, and then this line was recorded.
Become so there. Become so tired.
So it's the I've become so numb, and then
Become so tired, so much.
become so tired. We've got that character. I've become so numb, become so tired. That's likely how he's recording it in the studio in terms of phrasing. One track's doing that, and then he goes back in and does the response. And you can hear that in the background vocals too, because you've got those octave background parts, you know.
Become so numb, I can't feel you there.
There's the, I can't feel you there, and then the I can't feel you there. We'll go over his tone in a minute. You've got both of those going on over that sort of character group. You've got the harmony here.
Become so numb,
Become so numb, and then he does octave below here.
feel you there.
Feel you there, and those are doubled as well. So lots of production placement going on here to create a neat soundscape of voices. But there's absolutely that overlap.
Feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. Can't you see that you're smothering me?
Okay, so yeah, you can hear those parts interrupting each other, which is so cool. Now let's talk about his tone. We go from that long, wonderful, clean sound to I, and he can grit it up with the best of them, right? Let's get there. I'm going to lift something heavy. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going low. I'm not going, instead, I'm placing that point of engagement when I lift something heavy. I'm placing that really high in my throat. If I were to let a little bit of air through, it would almost sound like this, like a really loud whisper. And then we're combining the pitch. We're laying this over the top of our regular vocal cord phonation. The trick is going to be creating a clean enough sound initially. Right here, he's going, and let's ignore the harmonies for a minute. I've, bright, I've. We're going to deliver a little bit more air, and then we're going to start holding back air with the top of our throat, the false chord area. I've become, Everybody's going to sound different. Don't try to sound like him. Try to do what he's doing, which is this, and see what happens with your own voice. If you try to sound like him, you're just going to sound dumb. But if you start by drawing inspiration from the techniques he's using and see what happens with your own voice, play with extremes. Be really bright. Yeah, and then let your voice do what it does, and it's going to sound like an awesome version of you.
And be less like you. Can't you see that you're smothering me?
So I want to talk about two things here. The first is, of course, he switches characters again, but this sound that he's got right here
is be more like me and be less like you.
And be less like you. Super aggressive, right? He's got those cleaner doubles and harmonies in there, and it really creates a nice tame version. We'll see less of that later, where his aggressive vocalists come more prominently out in front of the mix. But then we've also got this neat delay throw here on the word you or yo.
And be less like you. Can't you see that you're smothering me?
So the and be less like you. I want to set something like this up for you so that you can see how one might go about doing this. There's a lot of ways that you can do this, but I'll show you one way that's pretty cool and really easy to set up.
Is be more like me
And be less like you.
Can't you see that you're smothering me? Hold.
Okay, so we've got this. Now, I have tapped this tempo of the song to roughly, it's 110, 111 beats per minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the track that I just recorded on. And I'm going to duplicate everything about it. I'm going to remove this first part. So I've just got this last note. I'm going to fade into it, and I'm going to fade out of it. So right now we have this. Yo! Then I'm going to add a delay on the track. Normally if we're doing a delay, and there's other ways to do this, but this is one great way to do a delay throw. Sometimes you can do an aux track, but I like duplicating stuff like this. So we're going to put a delay on. It can be any delay. I really like stuff like Echo Boy Jr. is a fun one. It's a Sound Toys plugin. And we're going to put it all the way wet like this. And we're going to have it timed. Let's listen again to Chester and see if we can get the timing of that delay.
Like you. Can't you see that you're smothering me?
That sounds like a quarter note delay. So yo. That's what we want to have happen. So we'll go to quarter note, and we have the mix at 100%. And we might have to adjust this a little bit, play with the timing a little. Let's see what happens. And be less like you.
Can't you see that you're smothering?
And be less like you. Well, it's a little fast, so we're going to go to a half note delay, and we're going to turn it down a little bit, and then I'm going to pan it just somewhere else, just a little bit off center, and there's all sorts of wonderful, cool things you can do with this, but let's see what that does. And be less like you. That's basically what he's got going on. I turned the feedback down a little bit. Let's play with the EQ a little bit here by just dialing in the filters here. And adding some saturation on the delay plugin. So we be less like you. And maybe add a bit more reverb to the delay itself. Let's bring in the low cut and the high cut even more. Be less like you. That's pretty cool. I'll bring this down a little bit. and be less like you. I think this way is cleaner and easier than automating a send, although that's great too. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but that's kind of a fun way to work. All right, moving on.
You see that you're smothering me.
And it sounds like they did it on the harmony as well, which is so cool.
Can't you see that you're smothering me? Holding too tightly, afraid to lose control. 'Cause everything that you thought I would be has fallen apart right in front of you.
Caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow.
That long vowel again there, right?
You.
You.
Every step that I take is another mistake.
I like that step.
Every step that I take.
Every step that I take, every step that I take. He's invoking that compression there on just that note.
Every step that I take is another mistake.
And then totally cleaning it up. Is another mistake. So clean and accurate.
Another mistake to you.
Caught in the undertow, just caught.
Oh, and then he really beefs it up there, right?
To you.
To you. You can really exaggerate it, but he does it so subtly. It's so nicely.
To you.
Caught in
To you.
the toe.
And every second I waste.
And every second I waste.
And every second I waste is more than I can take.
I love that layer right there.
More than I can take.
More than I can take. He does such a good job of having that sheen over his clean voice. He separates that compression sound, that grit sound, from his clean. It's so unique to Chester. But experiment with it. Get the same sorts of techniques in your voice and see what happens. And I can take.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm become
You can hear that interruption and that call and answer going on.
this. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. And I know I may end up failing too.
Okay, let's take this line. There's studio doubling going on here, which creates even more of that glassy, separated feel, and it smooths it out too at the same time. It's like smooth but gritty.
Failing too.
So if we go ahead and we go failing to, do it cleanly first. Add that grit over the top. Failing to. I'm going to record myself and listen to my quality of distortion doubled, because doing that is going to help me put less pressure on my voice to create a certain sound, because so much of what we're hearing and what we like certainly is Chester's amazing voice, but it's also that tight doubling. Failing to, but I know
You were
Okay, there's definitely some imperfections there. That's okay. I'm going to sing along with myself now. Mute Chester. Failing to, but I know. Notice how it smoothed out that unintentional sort of crack grit there at the end. Now, if I were to double it again, no, that's just the other one here. Let's go here. No, kind of sounds cool. Failing to, but I know. A lot of times, you wouldn't think so, but they will triple it. So you've got this kind of sound, and then you would align it a little bit in editing, and there's lots of tools for that. Let's do one more. Failing to, but I know. Now, his are brought into the center a lot more, so you hear that sort of glassy approach. As I bring them into the center, they all start to sound more like one sheeny voice. Failing to, but I And what you do is you choose the best one here, and you might even get rid of some of these so that you don't hear the edge. Failing to, but and those transients are messed up. See how those aren't there? So we could actually maybe even get rid of this one. Might be able to get rid of all of them. A lot of people use stuff like vocal line for this as well. But I know. And I'm not crazy about the way that I ended that. No! I could probably get that better. Failing to, but I know. But you get the idea. You can really create this tight, doubled, sheeny sound. Listening on.
You were just like me with someone disappointed in you.
His doubles are a lot quieter than what I demonstrated, but it's still there.
You were just like me with someone disappointed in you. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. I've become
I like that tag there.
and be less like you. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Tired of being what you want.
He's bringing in different aspects of the arrangement here at the end. I've always loved that about this song.
You there. Tired of being what you want me to be. I
Listen to the harmony or the doubling or whatever's going on there.
being what you want me.
Being what you want me to be. He's got that in the back.
You want me to be.
That's cool.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. I'm tired of being what you want me to be.
Tired of being what you want. And then right here.
I can't feel you there. I'm tired of being.
Numb. That nice breakup as he goes up to that other note. My voice sounds so much heavier than his. My voice is heavier. He's so good at being light and having that wonderful grit at the same time.
I'm tired of being what you want me to.
Tired of being what you want me. And then tired of being what you want me to be. All there at the end for the finale.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. I'm tired of being what you want me to be.
Such consistency and attention to detail with his voice. So much fun to go through. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole thing. It's a long video. Again, if you want to take your voice deeper, click that link below and request an invitation to my course, and I'd be happy to walk you through a new journey with your own singing and screaming. And I've studied a lot of other singers on the channel as well, so be sure to check out the In the Style of playlist if you'd like to see more breakdowns like this. We'll see you for more.